The Department of English at Missouri State University presents Let's Read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Fitt 3. Fitt 3. Let's do this. As you know by now, Lord Bertilak of Castle Haute Desert has made a deal with Gawain that Gawain will chill in the castle, keep his wife company, nothing sus about that. And Bertilak and his men will go hunting, and then at the end of the day, they will trade, quote, whatever they won during the day. So, at the end of the first day, here's the reunion. Then the Lord commanded the household to assemble in hall, and both ladies to come downstairs with their maids in front of the gathering. He orders his men to lay out his venison truly before him, and with playful courtesy. There's that idea of play, which I asked you about in the first discussion board on Sir Gawain. He called Gawain to him, reckons up the tally of well-grown beasts, points out the splendid flesh cut from the ribs, and recall, by the way, the very gory and detailed scene of medieval field dressing of the hunted deer. Reckons up the tally of well-grown beasts, points out the splendid flesh cut from the ribs. Does this game please you? And of course, double meaning of game there, perhaps. Have I won your praise? Do I deserve hearty thanks for my hunting skills? Yes, indeed, said the other. This is the finest venison that I have seen for many years in the winter season. And I give it all to you, Gawain, said the man then, for by the terms of our compact you may claim it as yours. That is true, said the knight, and I say the same to you. What I have honorably won inside this castle, with as much good truly shall be yours. Sorry, I misparsed that sentence. Happens even to me. He takes the other's strong neck in his arms and kisses him as pleasantly as he could devise. Now, Caroline Dinshaw famously asks in one of her articles, what would Gawain be required to do with Bertilak now if he had in fact accepted the lady's enticements and slept with her? This is of course, the vice that dare not speak its name. Take here my winnings, I obtained nothing else. I bestow it on you freely, and would do so were it more. It is excellent, said the Lord. Many thanks indeed. It can even be better if you would inform me where you won this same prize by your cleverness. That was not in our agreement, said he. Ask nothing else. Now, we'll see this come up a few times in the course of this text, this kind of lawyerly contractualism on the part of Gawain, hewing closely to the letter of the deal. We'll see this in the final encounter. And on the one hand, he's playing by the rules, right? And there's a number of games. There are games within games in this text. But this kind of insistence on scrupulously adhering to the set of the rules is not in the nature of sportsmanship, which I think has something to do with an old school kind of chivalric sensibility that relates to the idea of generosity and fellowship that's spoken about along the virtues in Fitt 2. That was not in our agreement, said he. Ask nothing else, for you have what is due to you, expect to receive nothing more. And they laughed and laughed and laughed. Now, they laughed and joked a while in speech deserving praise, then quickly went to sup on new delicacies. So far, so low stakes, right? Gawain's gotten through the first of the three challenges, and a few things to think about as you go through Fitt 3 is, how does the changing animals signify the changing nature of the encounters between Gawain and Lady Bertilak? How does the game change? Does it get more serious? Do the tactics change? Both of seduction, of hunting, and of course this leads us to the third encounter and one of the climactic scenes. Now do you refuse this belt, the lady said then. This is after she said, this is the last day, accept my ring. He says, I can't take a ring. Rings are, of course, tokens of marriage, of devotion, of love. And he also knows he's going to die and that he can't pay the gift back, right? And part of aristocratic culture is this sort of sense of reciprocity, that a gift must be returned, a gift must be responded to in kind with another gift, but never too soon, and it must be of approximately the same value. There's a famous anthropologist, Marcel Mauss, who has all these kinds of ideas about gifts and the role that they play in cultures, and gift economies versus money economies. Now do you refuse this belt, the lady said then, because it is worth little? And so truly it appears. See, it is indeed a trifle, and its worth even less. But anyone who knew the power woven into it would put a much higher price on it, perhaps. For whoever is buckled into this green belt, as long as it is tightly fastened about him, there is no man on earth who can strike him down, for he cannot be killed by any trick in the world. Now, one thing scholars such as Al Schoaf and others have noticed is the worth little, worth less, higher price. That for all there's an aristocratic culture of gifts and generosity, when it comes right down to it, there is this discourse about money and exchange that is woven into this world. And recall the context lecture where I talk about how there's a kind of nostalgia in late chivalric writing for an idea when chivalry was great and everybody lived by these virtues, whereas the actual present-day reality of 14th century was that knights were mercenaries who worked for money. And so we can see that tension manifesting itself here. After he hears that this magic belt will save his life, he says, then the knight reflected, and it flashed into his mind. Here's a nice example of interior focalization, to use the terms of narratology, the revelation of inner states of mind of a character. This would be a godsend for the hazard he must face when he reached the chapel to receive his deserts. Could he escape being killed, the trick would be splendid. Then he suffered her pleading and allowed her to speak, and she pressed the belt on him, offering it at once, and he consented and gave way with good grace. And she begged him for her sake never to reveal it. Wait a second. She begged him for her sake never to reveal it, but loyally hide it from her husband. So he's going to be put in a position where he either has to refuse her and say, no, I must tell him, or swear the oath to her and then break his deal with the host that they're going to exchange everything. So he's basically put in a no-win situation. What does he do? Well, given various options that are all going to sacrifice his integrity in one way or the other, he goes with the option that will save his life. And can you blame him? Gawain gives his word that no one should ever know of it, not for anything but themselves. He gave her heartfelt thanks with earnest mind and sense. By then she has 3 times kissed that valiant prince. At this point, I just want to refer back briefly to the audio lecture's discussion of fabliaux, and how in the dirty, funny stories of the fabliaux, just like in jokes that are told in bars or elks halls, there is that triple repetition, as there are in fairy tales. It's kind of a folkloric quality. It's also something that we see in biblical texts and mythological texts as well. In Jewish lore, there's a sense, there's a tradition that when you repeat something 3 times, it has a kind of contractual quality to it. Because if you say something once, you may just have been thinking out loud. You say it twice, it might just be an accident. You say something 3 times, you mean it. You'll notice in Fitt 2 that Bertilak gets Gawain to agree 3 times to the game of trading winnings, just like the Green Knight makes Gawain agree 3 times to the beheading game. So we see a number of times this triple repetition coming up. Just wanted to point that out as a kind of interesting, one of the many structural repeating patterns in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.